Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to DORAN'S and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Darius, the Hand of Noxus. Darius is one of the most terrifying top laners in the game. He has caused more rage quits in the first 5 minutes than any other champion in the game, including Teemo. All it takes is one bad trade and the game is over. Darius started off in a port city named Basilich. He was an orphan alongside his brother Draven. He fought to keep them both fed until the city was taken over by the Noxian Empire. During that battle, the Noxian commander was so impressed that he kept both brothers in his army as they continued their conquest. The story doesn't end there though. Darius rose to prominence quickly, becoming the Hand of Noxus after a brutal victory against the Varju. After a long campaign in the Freljord, Darius returned to Noxus and found Swain had taken control of the city. Though Darius was ready to follow such a venerated leader, Swain offered another choice and made him the Triferix of Might. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's DORAN'S Blade patrons, King Boss. Thank you so much for your support, it means a lot to us. King Boss chose Darius to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Alright, now let's get into it. First, let's cover the goals of the build. We need to get a big axe and swing it hella hard. Darius also needs to be a terror on the battlefield. And finally, we need to be able to bleed our targets. This is going to be a little tricky in D&D, but we can do it. For race, we're going to go with Variant Human. This build is going to have a lot of feats, so we might as well take advantage of a free one early. Variant Humans get a +1 to 2 ability scores. We'll take Strength and Constitution. They also get a skill proficiency. We'll take Intimidation and get our flexing in early on. And finally, the reason why everyone picks this race to begin with, the free feat. We're going to grab Great Weapon Master, which is the two-handed weapon equivalent of Sharpshooter. This gives us two very important abilities. First, it allows us to make a free melee attack as a bonus action anytime you either score a critical hit or bring a creature to 0 hit points. This will act as the reset portion of our ultimate Noxian Guillotine. We're going to get another way to reset later on as well. Second, you can take a -5 hit to your Great Axe attacks to add a flat 10 damage to the attack. We're going to get an ability later on to help offset this penalty so you can use this on every attack. This is really going to ramp up your damage, so please don't forget to use it like so many of my players do. Alright, time for background. This one's pretty obvious. We're going to go with Soldier. This gives proficiencies with Athletics and Persuasion. And you also get the Military Rank feature that lets you strut into military camps or castles and even gather equipment from these places. For stats, we're going to be using the standard array. Roll if you'd like, but we need at least a 13 in Strength, Dexterity, and Wisdom for multiclassing. That's a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. First, we're going to go with Strength. Darius is a powerhouse, and we need strong muscles to swing that big axe and carry the heavy armor. We'll take Dexterity after that. Between the Phage passive and Phase Rush or Ghost, Darius is always running around at relatively high speeds. After that, we'll grab Wisdom. Darius always knows the right allies to make and the right battles to fight. Next, we'll choose our Constitution. If we didn't have so many multi-classing minimums, I'd like to make this higher. He is a juggernaut after all. Charisma is going to be our 10 score. Ideally, this would be higher as well since Darius is one of the most intimidating champions in the game. And finally, we'll dump our Intelligence. Darius is known to run in 1v5. I mean, he still comes out on top, but it's definitely never a smart decision. Alright, we actually have a few pieces of equipment we need to pick up. First is a Great Axe, obviously. Darius uses a giant two-handed axe, so this is accurate. Darius is also decked out in full plate armor. You'll have to find that later on in your adventures. Chainmail will work just fine for now. The final piece of equipment we'll need here is a Great Axe of Wounding. This will let you apply your Hemorrhage passive on any target you hit with it. Work with your DM to either start with this item or find it on a quest, and use your Great Axe until then. Alrighty, let's kick things off with a level 1 fighter. Darius is a very capable warrior. Fighters have a D10 hit die and have proficiencies with all armor types and weapon types as well as shields. They also gain 2 skill proficiencies. We'll take Survival and Acrobatics since Soldier covered Athletics. Level 1 fighters choose a fighting style. We'll go with Great Weapon Fighting. This lets you reroll any damage die rolls of 1 or 2 once per attack. This lets you get rid of those depressing rolls when you're rolling that D12 and a 1 or 2 pops up. You also get Second Wind. This lets you regain 1d10 plus your fighter level and hit points once per rest. Please make sure you use this before you spend any hit die on a short rest. Learn from my friend's mistakes, please. Second level fighters only get 1 feature, but it's a doozy. Action Surge lets you go ham and take an entire additional action on your turn once per rest. This is the second way we'll get the resets provided by our Noxian Guillotine. Level 3 fighters choose what kind of battle ideal they'd like to strive for in the form of their martial archetype. We'll go with Battlemaster here because they offer us a variety of tools to flesh out Darius' kit. First, you get Student of War. This gives you proficiency in one artisan's toolset of your choice. We'll take Smith's tools here because I can't imagine Darius would ever let his axe stall or head into battle with less than perfect armor. Next, we get our maneuvers. These are special attacks with special conditions that are enhanced with our superiority die. We get 3 choices here. Luckily, all 3 work for Darius. So Trip Attack is going to be our W, Crippling Strike. If you land a hit, you roll your superiority die and add it to the damage, and then force a strength save on that creature. If it fails, you knock the target prone. Sweeping Attack is the early version of our Q, Decimate. We'll get a much better version later, but this lets you roll a superiority die after you hit a creature. If the attack roll would have also landed on a creature within 5 feet of your original target, it takes damage equal to whatever your superiority die rolled. Finally, Lunging Attack is going to let us get our dunk on with Noxian Guillotine. You can expend a superiority die anytime you make a melee attack to extend the range by 5 feet. If you land the hit, you add your superiority die to the attack's damage roll. Remember, thanks to Great Weapon Master, you can reset and make another attack as a bonus action if you kill that target. 4th level fighters get an ability score improvement. I mentioned earlier this would be a feat heavy build, so we're going to grab one of those now. We're going to grab our E, Apprehend, with the Sentinel feat. Sentinel gives a bunch of abilities and is one of the strongest feats in the game, so let's go through that. Whenever you land an opportunity attack on a creature, its speed becomes 0 for the rest of this turn. So just flavor that as them running away and Darius yoinking them right back, i.e. his E. You also bypass the disengage action to make opportunity attacks. And finally, anytime a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against someone other than you, you can spend your reaction to make an attack against them. Level 5 fighters get the extra attack feature. This lets you make 2 attacks whenever you take the attack action instead of 1, which is basically just getting some attack speed. 6th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Now it's time to grab our final feat for the build, which is Athlete. Athlete lets us really unlock Darius' mobility. You're able to stand up from prone using only 5 feet of movement instead of half. You get to bump our dex by 1, climbing doesn't cost extra movement, and we can add a sweet leap to our Noxian Guillotine for the real dunking by letting us do a running high jump after only moving 5 feet rather than 10. Alright, now that we've got a majority of our kit, we're going to take a few levels in Barbarian to get our Noxian Might passive. Barbs have a D12 hit die, which is a nice little boost to our health pool. You get no new proficiencies since Fighter pretty much gives them all to us anyway. You do get Unarmored Defense, which gives AC equal to 10 plus your dex and con modifiers, but Darius uses heavy armor, so it's not really relevant. Heavy armor also neuters the Barbarian's rage feature as well. This makes me sad, so we're not going to go over what you could do with it, which is kind of a lot. 2nd level Barbarians get the Reckless Attack ability, which is what we're going to flavor as our Noxian Might. This gives you advantage on all melee weapon attack rolls this turn, with the only con being all attacks against you have advantage until your next turn. Having advantage mathematically negates the -5 penalty from Great Weapon Master, and when you get this online, you should absolutely be applying the +10 damage to every attack from here on out. When we get our Decimate ability, that is literally what you'll be doing with this kind of damage boost. You also get Danger Sense at this level, which gives you advantage on all dex saves from effects you can see, be they spells or traps. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, when I started this build, I had no idea this was how it was gonna turn out. This class choice surprised the heck out of me, but bear with me because it really pays off at the end. We're gonna max out the rest of the build as a Ranger. Rangers have a D10 hit die and no new proficiencies except for a skill. We'll take Perception. Rangers also have the Favored Enemy and Natural Explorer features. These two let you choose a land and an enemy and gain a few advantages regarding travel through those lands and knowledge of said enemies. Neither of these features are very fun or interesting to me, especially for Darius. You can check out the Unearthed Arcana versions if you want to give them a shot, but they're just not our favorite. We chose a few land features based on his previous campaigns and all humanoid-based enemies, but you can have a ball choosing these. 2nd level Rangers get an additional fighting style here. Unfortunately, you can't retake another one and stack it up, so we'll take Defense, which gives you a +1 to AC as long as you're wearing armor, which you probably are, #Rest in Peace Barbarian features. You also get your 1st level Ranger spells here. We'll take Zephyr Strike, which gives you advantage on one weapon attack roll. If this attack lands, you deal an extra 1d8 force damage. Either way, you get an additional 30 feet of walking speed until this turn ends. Level 3 Rangers get a few abilities here. First is Primeval Awareness. You can expend a spell slot and detect any of the following creatures within 1 mile of you. Aberrations, Celestials, Dragons, Elementals, Fays, Fiends, and Undead. This doesn't reveal their location or number, just whether they're there or not. Similar to Fighter, you choose your Ranger archetype at this level. We'll go with Hunter. This gives us the Hunter's Prey feature. We'll choose Colossus Slayer, which lets us deal an extra 1d8 damage to a target once per turn that we hit with a weapon attack if it's not at full health. This is another version of our Bleed ability, though not as cool as a Great Axe of Wounding, so make sure your DM's on top of that. 4th level Rangers get an ability score improvement. We're going to head to the gym and boost up Darius' strength by 2 points. Level 5 Rangers get extra attack, but we already have it from Fighter, so cue the Price is Right losing sound effect. 6th level Rangers get another favorite enemy. Try to contain your excitement and just pick 2 more types of humanoids. Level 7 Hunters get a defensive tactic to choose from. Since Darius builds so many tenacity items, we're going to go with Steel Will, which gives you advantage on saving throws that try to frighten you. 8th level Rangers unlock the Land Stride ability. Non-magical difficult terrain no longer costs extra movement, and you pass through any sharp plants without taking damage. If they're magically created difficult terrain, you get advantage instead of immunity, which is still pretty solid. They also receive another ability score increase. We're going to head back to the gym and get swole as we max out our strength score. Level 9 Rangers get access to 3rd level spells. None of these are particularly Darius friendly, unfortunately, so we're going to move on. 10th level Rangers gain the ability to hide in plain sight. You can spend 1 minute camouflaging yourself and gain a +10 to stealth checks as long as you don't move or take an action. This is another one that isn't very Darius-like, but it could be cool if done right. Okay, here it is. The whole reason we took Ranger levels. Level 11 Rangers get a multi-attack ability. We're going to take Whirlwind attack for our Q, Decimate. This lets you spend your action to make a melee attack against any number of creatures within 5 feet of you. Each attack has a separate roll. Any that you miss, just have your DM flavor as hitting the shaft of the axe rather than the head. With Action Surge, you can do this twice in a turn, turning you into Human Woodchipper, especially with Reckless Attack and Great Weapon Master going. The final level of this build will be our 12th level in Ranger. You get a final ability score improvement, and like always, we'll use this to round off a few odd modifiers, namely our Constitution and Dexterity. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. This Darius build has a ton of potential and flavor. As long as you roleplay it right, you can be the terrifying Hand of Noxus with no problem. When you swing your axe, things are going to drop, usually in pieces. You're also quite tanky. Ideally, we'd have a bit of a higher con mod, but we did fairly decent with sticking with the standard array. Now the bad. Multiclassing did cost us a few special features. Also, heavy armor negates our Barbarian Rage, which could have been a nice little bonus. Outside of combat, we're only good for scaring others. Darius has no real utility to speak of. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and a guaranteed champion build. We plan on turning out 1 League champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.